Hello and welcome to the brand new episode of Khel Now Beyond the Score podcast. Today with me is very special guest. I think we need no introduction of him, especially among Indian football fans. Uh, Former Bengaluru FC head coach Carles Cuadret joins me from Spain. Coach, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thank you. Here in Barcelona now at that moment.
Okay. So as we know, Coach Carles have graduated from La Masia, Barcelona's academy, and played for their youth teams. Then went on to play for other Spanish club before starting his coaching career as assistant coach at various stint in Europe before coming to Bengaluru FC as assistant coach of Albert Roca. Coach, how did your career started, and can you tell us about how difficult it is to be part of youth academy of Barcelona? Because it's renowned for so many global stars. So is it in Spain, is it difficult to be part of the setup?
Well, in Spain, the most popular sport is football. So when you are a kid in the 70s, that it was when I was starting to play football, it was very common to play in the streets and to play in the school, and you were always with the ball and trying to enjoy the game. So at that moment in Barcelona, there was some different trials, trying to pick up the little kids for the first team of the club. I mean, the first team in the school. I mean that when you are 10 years old is when you are starting to play with the logo of Barcelona in your t-shirt, no? And I was doing that trials, it's like a pyramid. I mean, there is 1,000 kids trying, then 500, 200, and at the end they have to make a team with around 15 boys at that moment, and I was choose like one of these boys. So it was the starting of my time in Barcelona. I was playing there until the 20 years old. So for me, it was a long career in the club, 10 years playing for the Barcelona Youth Academy. And of course, it's a learning for life, because you learn about how to play football, but also you learn a lot of behaviors, a lot of things about to be interacting with the rest of the players, with coaches, with supporters. So I have to say that I am very grateful to what Barcelona means in my life and what they teach me. About if it's difficult or not, football is that kind of game that you get a test every weekend. So you are so good as your level shows. So for me, it was I have to say that it was a wonderful learning time. And I achieved to play with the national team, under 18, under 19. So only grateful words for that moment of my life.
Yeah, coach. And then, of course, you went on to become the coach. So what was the transition from a player to the coach? And especially, you did not started your coaching career in Spain, because you went to Turkey to start your coaching career. So how did you take that decision? And what is the transition from player to coach?
Well, in fact, when I finished in Barcelona, I finished in the B team. And then I started my career as a professional football player in Spanish second division. I was playing in Sabadell, in Gavà. So I became a professional, not in the top level, not in the La Liga Primera División, first division, but in the second division. And after that, I had the opportunity to come back to Barcelona to be part of the Youth Academy as a physical coach. It was also a very important step in my life, because it lets me to start to work in the other side, of the pitch. I mean, in the bench. So in the meantime, when I was playing football, I was studying physical education university degree. So it makes me easy to start again in Barcelona with a junior team, under 16 team at that moment. And it was my career, getting that kind of knowledge, not as a player anymore, but as a physical coach. And at the same time, you are taking your license to become coach. And it was the next step to go with Frank Rijkaard to Turkey to work as a physical coach with Galatasaray.
Yeah, and then of course you came to India also to Bengaluru FC as an assistant coach. How difficult was that decision for a young coach like you to come to India, not as a head coach but as an assistant coach?
No, it was a normal way in my career. I mean, with Rijkaard, we were joining him in Galatasaray and also in Saudi Arabia national team. In Saudi Arabia national team, we have the opportunity to play for the World Cup qualification for 2014 Brazil qualification in Asian group. We play in the group with Thailand, with Oman. The other team, it was Australia, and Saudi Arabia. So it was a very good learning for all of us. Then Rijkaard suddenly decided not to keep coaching anymore. So it was the opportunity for Albert Roca to become first coach. And he asked me to go to El Salvador national team to join him. So we were a team working, and for me it was very easy to take that decision. But at that moment is when I stopped to be the physical coach and I started to be assistant coach. So with Alberto in national team of El Salvador, we also get the opportunity to play for qualification World Cup, but it was for Russia 2018. So again, it was a wonderful experience. And after that, it was when Alberto received the call to go to India in a very interesting project, because from the first moment, Bengaluru was asking him to understand that we were in a club that were going to fight for titles, that they were going to be in FC Cup, with a squad that can be competitive in that rounds of the FC Cup at that moment. It was like this, because just 2 months after we signed, we were in the final of the FC Cup 2016 in Doha against Air Force team from Iraq. So it was really a natural step, to try to keep doing our work in football, to try to be competitive. And I have to say that I am very grateful to Bengaluru, because I have been spending with the club almost 5 years in India, and we have become champions in different competitions, and it has been a great scenario for me to enjoy my job.
Yeah, so you talked about different competition. Of course, you and both Roca came in the I-League. So, and of course, you got success in I-League. Then the transition to ISL happened, So can you also tell our viewers and listeners, what's the difference between as a coach to prepare a team for I-League and then for ISL?
Well, we have to say the truth. We were not successful in I-League. It was a really difficult year, our first season in Bengaluru, because we have a very competitive team. We have wonderful players. If you remember, we have in the team all the cracks that we have now in Bengaluru, like Udanta, like Sunil, all these kind of guys are an issue at that moment. But also we have players like Mandar Rao, like Sandesh Jingan, like Lenny Rodriguez. So we have a goalkeeper Arindam, if you remember. No, Arminder. Yeah, but both of them. I remember now that both of them were in the squad.
Yeah.
So we should fight for the competition, but it was not like this. We finished 4th position in the I-League at that moment, and we struggled with a really unlucky strike of results that we were not able to win during 8 games. So it was that it makes us out of the competition for the title. I think that the final winner that season was Icewall in our season in I-League. But at the same time, the team was really a very good team, and at the end of the season, we won the Federation Cup 2017. So I mean, it was a difficult season for us in I-League, but it was a brilliant season for us in FC Cup and in Federation Cup. And the next season, it was the first season of Bengaluru in Indian Super League. So the club really invests in good foreigners, and we get a strong squad. And if you remember, it was a wonderful I-League season for Bengaluru. We achieved the regular league with no problems, with a big difference of points in the top of the table. But unfortunately, in the final, we lost against Chennai at home. It was a really sad day for all of us in Bengaluru. But it's football. It was that kind of game that everything is ready for you to become champion. Even we scored the first goal of the game. If you remember, it was 1-0 with Sunil scoring. But Chennai get the 1-3, and finally we scored the second goal. So it was 2-3 final at home. And the good thing for me is that next season I have the opportunity to work again for Bengaluru and to take a little revenge of that. And we become champions of the regular season and also of the final. So it was very nice for me to finish the thing that we didn't get the year before.
I think that was the next question, and that was also a very important step in your career, because Roca left Bengaluru FC before that season when Bengaluru FC won the ISL, and you became the head coach. How was the transition from the assistant coach to the head coach for you, and what kind of different stuff started doing when you became the head coach of Bengaluru FC while preparing the team in the preseason, signing foreigners, signing Indian players? So what kind of role you played in those kind of decisions?
Yeah, it was not an easy decision for me, because until that moment in the international panorama, I was always working with Albert Roca. I leave Barcelona Youth Academy to go to Galatasaray with Rijkaard, but also with Roca. Later on, Saudi Arabia national team, El Salvador national team, and last stage was Bengaluru. So for me, it was not easy. I have to say that I only take that decision because the club really shows the confidence in me. The players, I have a lot of talkings with players like Sunil, like Juanan, Eric, the foreigners, Miku, and all of them were supporting me. And also because Albert Roca was the first one to say to the club that I could be the right person to make that kind of transition. So for me, at the end, it was a natural thing. I mean, I started playing in the Barcelona Youth Academy, but at the same time, I was being a ball boy in the Camp Nou for the games that Barcelona was playing at home. So what I mean is that all my life I have been doing things around football. After being football professional, I became a physical coach, assistant coach. So for me, the natural step is to finish being the main responsible of the job and to become head coach. But I have to say that only because of the support of Albert Roca, the players and the club, I take the responsibility. Otherwise, maybe I would be still working with Albert Roca at that moment of my career, you know. So I'm happy. I'm happy that I take that decision at that moment and that I start to build up my career as a head coach. It was like a challenge for me to try to put myself in that kind of pressure, and I'm happy that the things work well for me. Yeah, and Albert Roca, of course, left India. And before we move into the next topics regarding the Indian players at Bengaluru FC, I just want to ask one more thing about Roca. Roca went to Barcelona now. He's working under their head coach Koeman. So Albert Roca was also running for the national team job, you know, and when Igor Stimac was appointed 2019, just after he left Bengaluru FC. Are you surprised that India let go the opportunity not to appoint somebody like Albert Roca for the national team job, because he had experience in Asia also, as you told in the previous questions to me? So are you surprised that India let go Albert Roca for the job of the national team and appoint somebody like Igor Stimac? No, it's not about to be surprised or not. I mean, they were talking, that's for sure, and they were trying to build up a project, and finally they don't get an agreement, no, both parts. So it's not about that India have lost the opportunity to sign Albert Roca. It's just that the both parts didn't get an agreement, no? So nothing to say about that. What I can say about the national team is that I have been watching the games that they were playing last days and all the process that has been happening. And because I love India and I love football in India, I'm really worried about the decisions that we are taking as a football nation, you know, because I think that we have to have very clear what we can get, you know, from our players in the country and the process that we are doing. And for me, it's really strange to sign a foreigner coach that doesn't know anything about the local football, no? Because it makes you to lost a lot of time. If you see the way the team is playing, if you see the results that you are getting, it looks like we have been wasting 2 years, 2 very important years, because at the same time, Indian Super League is growing up very fast, and Indian Super League is producing better players, and they have the opportunity to play international competitions with the class, and they become better players, you know. But for me, it makes no sense to go for a kind of name, you know, a foreigner name, but with no experience in the country. I think that Indian national team have to be with coaches that know what's going on in the country, you know, and it means foreigner coaches that already are working for some years in the country, or it even can be Indian coaches. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure that there is a lot of coaches that have been participating in Indian Super League teams for a long time, and they know what's going on. I can say Khalid, for example. I can say Musa from Bengaluru. I can say Ishaq from Kerala Blasters. I can say Clifford Miranda from Goa. I mean, that kind of coaches know the reality of the Indian football, and also, of course, foreigner coaches that we have been there for a long time. But I think that the local talent is not at that moment like what's happening with Korea bringing Gus Hiddink for the World Cup, or Queiroz bringing Iran. I think that we want to go too fast, and we are not still in that kind of process to bring a big name and things are going to change because of that big name. It's not like this. You can bring Pep Guardiola, you can bring Zidane, and the process have to take the time for that. So I'm really sorry about what has been happening in that process, because if you see the results, 15 games, only 2 victories, and the way we have got that victories, it shows that we are not still competitive. So I think that we lost too much time, you know, trying to know the players, trying to find a system, trying to know how we want to play, and it's not. We have to be realistic. It makes no sense to try players against Emirates and to receive 6 goals for nothing. It's not a real experience. I come from Barcelona. We are a club that we love to create players and to give them an opportunity in the first team. But you have to give that players the right environment to really become a good professional, no? Like it's happening this season with Pedri. Pedri, very young player, 18 years old, and because he has the right environment of players around helping him, he becomes a player that even is playing the Euro Cup with the Spanish national team. Like we did also in Bengaluru with Suresh, you know, at the starting some minutes, later on giving him 90 minutes, and now he's in the Indian national team. But it makes no sense to make a kind of trial in a match like this, because you don't have to forget that you are representing a huge country and a country with a lot of pride, and you have to honor the flag and the love of the people behind, you know. So I think that it's interesting for the Indian football to be realistic, to be pragmatic about which has to be the plan, and to try to make the right decisions for the future.
Coach, so I'm also very critical of how India is progressing since 2019 Asia Cup, you know, when we appointed new head coach, Igor Stimac. So there is another question. Many fans are worried about that our players have been doing well in ISL. So why are the same players not able to replicate that performance at the international stage? It is all about system, or it is all about the pressure they feel to play for India, or you think it is something else?
Yes, we have to understand that the football is growing up very fast in a lot of countries, and every time there is more very professional coaches all over the world, you know, making good plans. What I mean, if you see it's happening in any football stage, in any football competition, what it's more easy now in football is to build up a good defensive system. No, I mean when you are the one defending, and that's the reason because India was doing quite decent games against Qatar and against Oman. You can work with line of 4, line of 5, but you get the players closer, defensive line, midfielder line, and it's difficult for the other team to score, of course. But the problem that has been happening with India and with the clubs also in Asia is when you are the one who are going to have the ball and who are going to have to attack against that kind of lines, And we have seen that in that group stage, India have been only able to win one game against Bangladesh, that game that Sunil was saving the team, because at the end it was not because what you are producing, it was just because the quality of Sunil in the last line, to finish the actions. And if you see, it's quite similar to what happened before in the World Cup 2018 qualification, because we only win, if you remember, one game against Guam. So it's quite similar. It's quite similar. I mean, you can get some draws, okay, but at the end, to be protagonist with the ball and to create enough chances to score, it's what it makes difficult when you are going to be the dominant team. It's happening, as I told you, in any competition. You saw Goa. Goa was doing a very meritorious Champions League group stage, but because they were doing that kind of game, very good defensive structure. That's why you have that kind of foreigner coaches, that they know how to work the system. They work very hard to have a good plan. But there is a big difference between that and between to be the protagonist and to arrive to other area and create enough chances to be the winner. So it's what I mean, that football it's changing a lot, and you have to have the plan to really go at the level that your players have, and otherwise it makes no sense. It's like in Indian Super League, for example, we can see that the football is improving, but I have watching some games, in the last seasons, that the result was like 3-6 or 4-4. I love offensive football. If that kind of result comes because there is a wonderful talent, there is wonderful actions, then I'm very happy. It's like Bayern München winning 2-8 to Barcelona. It was a wonderful game. Bayern München was arriving with wonderful goals. But if that result comes because you want to build up from behind, but you are not able of that, and you start to make ridiculous mistakes, then it's bad for football. It's bad for football, and it's bad for fans. And I think that we have to be very realistic in which point we are, because you saw the other day the goal that we scored against Afghanistan. It was a shame of goal. It was ridiculous. Nobody can be proud about that goal. So what I mean is that there is narrow margins about with what is a realistic plan, or what is a plan that it has not behind what it has to have. And I think that about that, the approach of Goa for the Champions League was great. I have to say here that I think that they really represent the country in a very good way in the Champions League, and it was a very difficult situation. But on the other side, for me, what India have been doing in the process of qualification for the World Cup has been not good enough. I was in Calcutta watching the game against Bangladesh. We scored at the last moment, because the players were giving everything, for the team, with the atmosphere of the stadium. But it was not a good approach to that kind of qualification moment.
Yeah. So, Coach, before moving to the next topic, just last question on this segment regarding national team. Igor Stimac contract is ending in September. As of now, we don't know that, will AFF extend his contract? Just a quick question for you. If AFF open the vacancy for national team job, will you going to apply for it?
It's not about apply or not. I am a free agent at that moment, and I have been listening some options to coach again. And until now, I have decided not to sign because I'm looking for a good project, no, for the right project for me at the moment. So I am in that kind of situation. I was very very close to finish some negotiation here in Europe with some clubs that give me the opportunity to be part of the coach, technical staff. But finally, I didn't decide to go for that. So let's see what it's coming on in the future. I'm just working in different things around football and keeping informed about things in world football. But I have no plans for the next step at that moment.
Okay, so coach, now let's move towards Indian players at Bengaluru FC, and then can you tell us something about Sunil Chhetri, which we don't know till now, because we know that he is India's legend, very hard-working player. Can you tell something else about Sunil Chhetri?
Yeah, there is always a lot of talkings about Sunil. Yeah, it's he's a special player because it's very difficult to have such a long career in football, always in the first line. It's really, really difficult. I was watching a little bit games of the past, and I saw that he was also in that process when we got that win against Guam in the last qualification World Cup round. What I mean is that if you see, there is a lot of names at the moment in that kind of games, but they are not anymore playing, or they are not anymore in the first line of competition. But Sunil still is there. I think that he is there because he has really good things to support that kind of career. One very good thing is that he takes care of himself, and he is really, really methodic about nutrition, about training, about that kind of things. This is one thing that it's really helping him. Another thing is that he is also a leader. He's a leader inside of the pitch and outside of the pitch. So it means that he is a good thing for the team. He's helping the teammates to become better, and he's helping the staff to go in one direction, and he's helping everybody to build up something. And last thing, but also very, very important, is that he has goal. Goal is something in football that, or you are, good enough to score frequently, or otherwise you cannot be a striker. And he's that kind of player. He's always getting goals for the team and for the national team, and that's why he's with Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in that kind of podium about international players with their national teams. So it's really, really something that the country can be very proud to have that player in doing that for so many times.
Yeah, we were talking about the Qatar game, and of course, one of your former player, Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, was the man of the match for India in that game, and what a performance he gave for the Blue Tigers. Can you also tell us about how important was Gurpreet signing for Bengaluru FC before you guys lifted the trophy?
Yeah, I think that Gurpreet was one of these lucky guys that, because of his experience in Europe, he becomes, very close to what his talent can provide to him. What I mean is that a lot of players that have that kind of exposure, working day after day with players that have a really, really high level, they really get that increase in their performance. Of course, they have the talent, but it's the work day after day, the one that takes you to another level. And Sunil is one of these guys because he has also that experience in Portugal, in USA. We also have Ashique working with Villarreal. We have Udanta with a little stint in England. We have also and Chwanti also. So there is some players that they have become better players because of that kind of experience. I think that that little things were the ones that build up a very, very strong goalkeeper in Gurpreet. If you see, he has been only playing a few years in Indian Super League, and already he's the one that has more clean sheets, and also he has some records about not to concede goals for around 4 or 5 games when I was the coach in 2019-20. So what I mean is he's very consistent in the performance, and maybe it's the little difference that give him that opportunity to be the first goalkeeper in the national team, because of course he's also with a big competence there, because we saw, there is a great goalkeeper, so there is a lot of work to be there in the first position. But I think that these little details make him to make wonderful performance in games like the ones that he has to play against Qatar or Oman, that he was saving a lot of goals.
Coach, you touch upon the players who had experience outside India. Do you feel that, and I personally strongly feel that Indian young players should look outside India to build their career? Do you also feel same that Indian young players need to go outside India to experience different type of football structure, different type of football coaching?
Yeah, but it's not easy. It's not easy because there is a very high level, and a lot of clubs are not interested in bringing foreigner players. I mean, when you go to top football countries, there is only a few numbers of players in every team, and it's not easy. If you remember, the Spanish La Liga, first and second division, they have a contract with Saudi Arabia, and just a few years ago, around 4 or 5 years ago, there was 8 players from Saudi Arabia going to Spanish first and second division. It was a contract, and then the coach is taking decisions, and no one of them play not even 1 minute in first division, second division. So at the end they were in the squad, but for nothing. I mean, it was a very good teaching for them, and these players are going to have a great experience, of course, but it was not enough to make an impact in Spanish football. What I mean is that it happens like this. I mean, the coaches are taking decisions, and you are only going to use a player if it's interesting for you. Otherwise, it's not what you are going to do as a coach. What I think is that it's very intelligent, it's very smart what the clubs from Super League and also from my league are doing with some European clubs, that they are signing some contracts of interaction. I think that it's a very good step, because it's going to allow them to go to that countries in Europe for training. So it's not just one player trying to go for that. No, it's the system giving you the opportunity of that kind of trainings, and it's very good for the players, for sure. They are going to learn a lot on that.
So coach, you touch upon Ashique also. So my question is regarding Ashique now, and it's a bit critical question for you. Ashique is an attacking player. We have seen is that he can score goals also. Why he was played as a left wing back or left back sometime at Bengaluru FC? Is it to balance out the squad because you have Udanta, Sunil Chhetri, then a foreign striker to accommodate in front three?
Yeah, as a coach you have to take decisions, and we were very lucky that season. It was last season, 2019-20, and I mean that we were lucky in the way that we could try the experience to play with 3 Indian strikers because of the injury of Manu at that moment, Manu Omnu. We lost our foreigner striker, and we're playing around 11, 12 games with Ashique as a left forward, Sunil in the middle, and Udanta as right forward. And we have to be realistic. It doesn't work. It was not good enough to get good results and to convince everybody that we were in the right way. If you see the numbers, Udanta scored 1 goal, Ashique provide one goal also in the semi-final, and it's all. And Sunil was getting his normal numbers there, like 8-9 goals more or less per season, 10 goals sometimes. But what I mean is that you are going to play against top teams in Indian Super League, and you have to be competitive. And we reached the semi-finals, the playoff, because we were very good in defense, and because we were getting that kind of games, winning 1-0, 2-1, because we score from set pieces, because we have the power of Eric, Juanan, Raul Beke, Sunil in that kind of actions. But in the open play, we did our best. We were working a lot, but we were not giving the right results. And when you see that, and when you want to be competitive, you have to take decisions. And it was my decision. My decision was to play with a foreigner striker, number 9, because they come with some number of goals and assists, and they can help the team to become champion. And for that reason also to put Sunil in a more comfortable position for him, that it's to play as a left forward, because he doesn't have to run so much, pressing the central defenders, and he's more in that kind of position with one fullback protecting his back, and he can be ready for the attacking part of the game. That formula was the formula that make us champions in the 5th edition of Indian Super League, when we play that system 4-3-3 with Udanta in the right, Sunil in the left, and Miku as a number 9. So the idea of the club was to keep bringing number 9 foreigners that can provide us that kind of goals, but we were not good enough in the market, that we didn't get that kind of foreigner that make the difference, like in the last season teams like Mumbai City, Goa or ATK have been getting, or even Hyderabad. They were better than us in the market, and we have to criticize ourselves not to get the kind of players to make the difference. But talking about that, talking about systems, if you are going to use Sunil in that position, then you have to find a place for Ashique, because there is no question that he's giving a lot always to the team, because he's a physical machine, and he also is quite good with the ball. If you see the 3 last goals of India in these last games, 2 of the goals come from Ashique crosses. But if you see the position where he's crossing, is not as a winger, very, very close to the end of the pitch. Is more from a 3/4 position, in the pitch. And this is the kind of crosses that he can provide when he play as a left back. He was doing a wonderful season until he got injury with that unfortunate crash with Jerry. He was being, I think, the best player in the squad at that moment. He was working very good in defense, and he was arriving in attack with a lot of danger, and he was creating a lot of difficult situations for the opponents. So, of course, I am very respectful with the opinion of anyone in football. Any coach can have their own opinion, but for me, in Bengaluru at that moment, the position that we find for Ashique was the perfect one for him. He was doing a wonderful season. If you see all the statistics in Instat or in that kind of football programs, he was rated as the best left back in Indian Super League at that moment, after 7 games. It was when he got injured, after that number of games. So I don't know if in the future he's going to play in that position or not. But of course, if he has to be a left forward, he has to increase their assistance and his goals, because as a forward you have to give numbers to the team. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to keep starting in the lineup.
Yeah, I think it's different for the club and it's different for the national team. Most of us who are Indian national team football fans, we think about as a national team. But I know at a club you need to give results also. So another player, Udanta Singh. I've watched him from his under 14 days for India, and he used to score lots of goals for India. And of course, it's a junior level. It's not as competitive as ISL or the senior level in international football. Do you think it is a confidence issue with Udanta that he's not scoring not the same amount, but at least 4-5 goals in a season for Bengaluru in ISL, or at least couple of goals for India, or is it something else with him?
No, I think that the more important thing about football, the things that make you a very good player, are the making decisions. You have to take decisions all the time, and that kind of decisions, you can be a player like Iniesta, and you are making most of your decisions in a right way, or you can be another kind of player and don't get so successful. I think that it's what's happening with Udanta, but also with Ashique in that positions of the pitch. That if you see the best numbers that Udanta has as a player was in 2018-19 when I was the coach and we won the Indian Super League. That it was around 5 goals for all the season and around 3 assists, something like this. I think that at that moment he still was making difference, because of his speed and also because of his confidence, of course. It also helps. And also because the level of the opponents were not so good that it's now. What I mean is that Indian Super League have been increasing a lot the level of the fullbacks, for example, and in that kind of 1 against 1 fight, he was winning a lot of duels, offensive duels, 3-4 seasons ago. But now, with the quality of the young Indian talents, it's becoming more difficult for him. So that little things are the ones that are making him out of confidence, out of good numbers, and at the end, you see, you can be out of the lineup because as a coach in a club or in national team, you need players that give you consistency in the performance. I was giving him a lot of opportunities, and also Igor Stimac have been giving Udanta a lot of opportunities. But at the end, you as a coach have to take decisions. And I feel very sorry because he's a talented player. He's a very good guy, and I was very happy with him when we became champion in the 5th edition. And I think that I always have been saying that at that moment, Sunil and Udanta help us a lot to become champions because of their sacrifice in defense. When we were attacking, they were doing their job, but in defense, we make that kind of 4-1-4-1 that they were very close to the fullbacks and they were helping a lot in that kind of situations in the wings. But it was the reason because I was supporting Udanta also the next season and giving him a lot of opportunities to play because he knows what to do in defense and he was helping a lot in defense. But dramatically, it was starting to happen something in his performance in attack. So finally, I was obligated to take the decision to get him out of the first 11 because of the performance. And from here, I don't know if Udanta is going to watch that, but I think that he's a wonderful player, and I am the first one who wants him to come back to that kind of performance. So it's a question to keep working. He has a lot of very good professionals around him, and just to go because he has the talent to become again the player that we all know.
We all know about his quality. We have seen him doing well for Bengaluru FC, for India also in past. What he can do to bring that form back? Is it something he need to do in a training ground? Is he need to focus more, maybe do yoga or something to increase his ability to focus on the critical situation in the match? What he can do to improve that situation according to you?
Yeah, it's not easy, It's a multifactorial thing for sure. I know that he has a good life. I mean, he has a good nutrition. He has a good training. In Bengaluru, we were doing some extra trainings, with him, with Ashique. They can tell to you a lot of crosses, a lot of shoot positions. But at the end, every player is a world, I mean, every player is different, and the things that take you to one place or to another place are very, very personal, So it's not that there is a receipt, like a menu, like you have to do that, and it's going to work. It's not like this. What is clear is that work is essential. So he has to keep working. He has to keep taking the opportunities that he received and just taking advantage of that. If you remember, I put him in the bench last season against Odisha, and we were winning the game 1-0. Then we got the injury of Ashique, and the other team, Odisha, was scoring the 1-1. And in the last minutes, I give the opportunity to Udanta and to Brown, and they score. I mean, Udanta was winning one situation, one heading, and Brown, and we finally get the goal. So the next game, I put both guys in the lineup, because when you give them the opportunity and they work, they get that kind of continuity, But it's in the hands of the player. It's not in the hands of the coach.
Okay, I hope Udanta, comes back to his best. Another player who has risen under your ranks at Bengaluru FC is India junior, now senior international, Suresh Wangjam. What you can tell about him, and especially he's playing in that important position in the midfield. You will not find many Indian player playing in the pivot system with another foreigner. What you can tell about Suresh and his rise from India junior teams to Bengaluru FC first 11, then to the India senior team?
Best thing of Suresh is that he wants to make an impact. He really wants that. So he's doing everything for that. Even taking decisions in the office. I mean, he takes the decision to go to Bengaluru, even knowing that it will be difficult for him to be in the first 11. And because of that decision, he went for the right plan. And the starting was not easy. He was playing with the B team. He was some weeks, very, very close to be in the first team. But finally, my decision was to keep him playing in the B team, So the way that we do it in Barça and Barça B, to try to provide him the right minutes, the right competition to the right moment to arrive, And it was what happened at that moment. He take the opportunity in the second leg of the Indian Super League, and because of his work and what he was giving to the team, he becomes a player that always was going to be in my lineup, And it has been happening the same for him in the national team. So I think that when you have that aim, when you really go for that, you get the things. And he's that kind of player that if he keeps working that way and listening to the coaches and improving the game, because he has that kind of good mentality about to make a feedback of his kind of performance and to become a better player. I think that he is going to be a player for a long of time in Indian football.
And now, of course, let's talk about Bengaluru FC also. We know that you got success, won the title with them, and your striker Miku scored goal, and then he, of course, went out India with the transfer fee move. After that, I think Bengaluru FC struggled to replace him as a striker. I think you signed at least 5 or 6 guys to play in that position and never got the same success as Miku got under you. And then, of course, we know that during the last season, ISL 2021 season, you both the club and you parted away. Can you tell us about how these circumstances around the replacement of a striker center forward? You tried at least 5 or 6 players in that position, didn't happen, and then of course both the parties parted away. So how did you came on that situation, when you decided that it's time to move on from this project?
Well, we all know how is football. We all know that as long as you are in the same club, in the same process, things are going to become more difficult, because it's a kind of job that it's about day after day, results after results. So what I mean is that I feel very happy that I have been training Bengaluru for 2 years and a half as a head coach. If you see in Indian Super League, the only coach that have been the same time as me is Sergio Lovera, that he was a few weeks more in Goa, in his process in Goa. But also the process suddenly finished, and it's because that kind of things happen in football. And also Antonio Abbas is a coach with a long time in ATK, and now ATK Mohun Bagan, but in different moments, So in a row he was only 2 seasons with ATK, and now he starts again, So what I mean is that you have to take a lot of decisions, and of course I have a point of view about what we have to do with the new number 9, and the management have another point of view, and finally there is things happening, and that kind of things makes the work difficult. But of course, when you understand that it's part of the job, nothing is happening. I have a wonderful relation with the Bengaluru management, and I'm very grateful for what they do with me, and the interest that they have to sign me as a head coach. But when you are 2 years and a half, 3 years in a club, you are close to the moment to say bye-bye. It's something that happens in football. And I think that after 3 losses in a row, they become a little bit nervous about what was going on with the team, and they decide to talk with me, and we arrange that solution, to part ways. If you see, I understand the decision of the club. I have nothing to regret. But at that moment, when my contract finished, it was after 9 games, and we were 1 point away of the playoff. And after that, there was happening 11 more games, and the team finished 9 points out of the playoff. What I mean is that I really know what I have in the squad, and we were very competitive. Some days we were playing better, some days we were playing worse, but we have a plan, the players believe in the plan, and we were very competitive. Then the club decides to give more time to the youngers, to try to build up for the next season, the next coach, and I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that. But of course, you pay with results. When you try to do that kind of things, it's difficult that from the starting of that new situation you get the results. And unfortunately, I was feeling sad for that, because I'm completely sure that team would arrive to the playoff for the 4th season in a row. I think that bunch of players with all the guys that we have been competing for so many time, we will get a place in the playoff at the end of the season. But we have to respect the decisions of the club, and I only can say to give my best wishes for the new plan that Bengaluru have for the future.
Yeah. So coach, just one more question regarding this, and before we move to the last part of the show, it is regarding there were some critics who were saying, Bengaluru FC is not scoring enough goals, and majority of the goals for Bengaluru FC the 2021-20 season were coming from set pieces, throw in. So how do you take those kind of critics? Is it because you're not able to find a perfect number 9 for your system, or is it because your team was not scoring good enough of goals from open play that you decided that okay, you need to find another way to score goals?
I take like kind of critics as a compliment, because it means that in the training we are doing our work. I mean, we are making plans, and we are trying to get goals at least in something that we can control, like is a set piece. In a set piece, you can go ahead with your tall people. You can try to make tricky situations to try to confuse the opponent. You can try different weapons. Of course, at the end of the week, you only give to that kind of set pieces plan around 20 minutes of one session, and the rest of the time you are working in open play. You are working about how to score goals in the normal open play situations. But you know how is goal. To score a goal, you can make the perfect plan, but when you are in front of the goalkeeper, it's a individual skill. That there is some players that they have that kind of skill, and some players not. It's football. It's we all know about football, and we all see a lot of
sometimes.
That's a funny game. We all have an opinion. But if you see, for example, Manu Omnu, he was scoring goals in Odisha when he left Bengaluru. But of course it's going to happen, because the teams that are playing against Bengaluru normally, they know that we are going to have the ball possession. So they as I told you before, they become very defensive. They make a good structure, with 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, 2 lines of 4 players and 4 players, or maybe with 5 defenders, So it's difficult for the team who is going to be the protagonist of the game to arrive to the crosses position, to make a good cross, to make a good heading, or to make a good shoot inside of the box. So that's the reason, because when he was with us, he was not so prolific, and then suddenly when he arrives to Odisha and the opponents are playing more open, is when he take that opportunity, and even he scored 2 goals of free kicks. And in Bengaluru, he never shoot a free kick, because we have another players more specialists than him for that kind of situation. So it's just like this. Everything that happens in football has a logic, And what is important for me is that I always have been doing the things with my logic, and my logic have make us competitive, because we have been, arriving to the final in the first season, arriving to the playoffs in the second season, and in the third season we were also in that kind of position to arrive to the playoff. You remember the game that we lost against Mumbai City, my last game. We create one chance just before the first goal of Mumbai. It was a free kick routine, and we almost scored because Sunil arrived to a ball in a very dangerous position inside of the penalty box. What I mean is that then the result depends on the talent in the last pass, last kick, But as a coach, you work for that kind of things happening, and set pieces was only one of my things that we work in the training.
I think it's more, you have to also consider that you're not able to replace Miku. Your number 9 was scoring goals for you. Then, of course, you have to find another way to score goals. So that's interesting, coach. Now ISL is changing. Indian football also changing. So from this upcoming season, you will only have 4 foreigners in the pitch. What is your view on this? I think some fans are saying it might decrease the intensity of the performance or level of the play because you have less foreigner on the pitch. Some saying it is good for Indian football because more and more Indian players will get chance. What's your view on this decision?
Yes, for me that new rule it's quite logical. I mean, you have to try to be an important nation in Asian football, and because of that rule also in the international competitions, it's better for the country to have that kind of system and also to develop Indian players. There was a little misunderstanding about what I told about that before. What I mean when I was saying that maybe it was not the time for that change 2 seasons ago, the meaning of that was that I understand Indian Super League like a big show that it's creating that kind of fans in the country. I think that Indian Super League is doing a wonderful work, with all the TV games, with all the production, with all the atmosphere that we can see in the stadiums. It's great. They are really, really getting people feeling attraction for the game. But it has been happening also because of the level of the game that a lot of foreigners have bring to the country, So if you decrease the number of foreigners, maybe the show is not going to be the same. If you see the statistics, I think that there was around almost 300 goals in the last Indian Super League, and only 70 or 75 of these goals were scored by Indian players. So what I mean is that a normal consequence is that we are not going to see so many goals. And when we talk about goals, we talk about all the things that happen in a normal game. We are going to give more opportunities to the young talents in India, but at the same time, we are going to see a different kind of game. I think that it's something that it has to happen. So I'm really happy that it happens in that next season, 2021, 2022. But we all have to be ready for that. We have to understand that we have to really support that kind of situations that are going to happen. And at the same time, I think that unfortunately, the coaches, again, are going to trust in a foreigner number 9, in a foreigner couple of central backs, and in a number 10 or creation midfielder as a foreigner, So the main places in the team again are going to be for foreigners, but it's very difficult to have another kind of rules about that. It's really difficult to find the right situation to develop players when you want to use the rules. Because, for example, the rule about to have under 21 players in some countries, they have been trying that, and it has been ridiculous situations, like to start the game with one under 21 player and substitute him after 5 minutes. So it makes no sense. You have to be very careful with the rules, but I think that now is the right moment for that kind of rule in India.
So you're already given your formula for if you're coach in ISL in future, that you will have number 10, a centre forward and 2 centre back foreigners, So you have given the ideas to the other coach also. Maybe they can try the same. So yeah, talking about your future, what is your future plan from now on? We discussed a little bit in the Indian national team segment. Are you looking to come back to India with another project, or you're looking to opportunities in Europe? What kind of international job you'd want to take, a national team job? What's your future plan from now?
Football is my life, so for sure I will keep working in football. But I want to take myself a little bit of time, to listen things that can happen in football for me, and to pay attention to different possibilities. As I told you before, I have a very close option to training in Europe, but just some details of the project make me say no, and also has been happening in some clubs in India. So not in a hurry to come back, but of course watching a lot of football, trying to be informed about what is happening in our industry, and getting ready for the next project. Yeah, no question about that. I will be enjoying my game, because football is my life.
Yeah, coach, are you watching Euros nowadays? What do you think of Spain's chances winning the trophy again?
Yeah, it's a little bit what we were talking before about Indian national team, that it's true that they have increased the ball possession, but you have to see if that ball possession is giving you something. And it happens with Spain against Sweden. If you again, it was around 80% of ball possession.
85%.
That's it. But when you go inside of the statistics, you saw that the ball was in the foot of the defenders. So it means that there was a lot of game, from one side to the other, trying to get the vertical pass, but it was not happening so much. So it's what I mean. You can have the quality to play the ball, but the quality to win the game it's another kind of quality, and it depends in a lot of things. For example, which is the player who's going to get the goals, no? And as we saw, Morata is in that kind of situation that he's not happy with the performance. He's feeling that he's not getting right, and it's a problem. Most of number 9s have to fight against that problem. We have the example of Sunil. Sunil have wonderful numbers, but sometimes he has been 2-3 games without score goals, and it becomes something, in the mind of the player. It irritates yourself. It puts you under pressure when you have a new chance against the goalkeeper. So let's see. I hope that Spain make that kind of performance that give them the opportunity to believe in themselves and to be competitive. As far as you see, there is 2 teams that are really doing very well. One is Italy and the other one is France. They have the talent, they have the good structure, and also they have the momentum. And momentum is something that gives you a lot of things in that kind of short tournaments.
Okay, coach, any message for Bengaluru FC and Indian football fans?
I really want to take advantage of the opportunity, because I know how difficult is becoming a COVID situation in India at that moment. Of course, we see the news from here, and we feel really bad about how things are going in India. I know that the country is dealing really well with that. There is a lot of supportive groups trying to help each other. I am in connection with some of my former teammates in Bengaluru. I have some conversations with people in the club, and I know that everybody is fighting against that thing, and I really wish the best of things for all of them, for Indian football fans, for Bengaluru fans, and of course for all the people in India, because it has been a dramatic full world situation, and I know that India at that moment is really in that kind of difficult situation that it was in Spain some months before. So please take care of yourself and be healthy.
It was an absolute pleasure to have Carles Cuadret with us on today. Thank you, coach. To our listeners and viewers, you can listen to all episode on Beyond the Score podcast or at your leisure at Spotify, iTunes, JioSaavn, Amazon Music, Ghana, and all other major platforms. You can also watch them in the video form on our YouTube channel, which is Khel Now TV. And this is your host Ashish Negi signing off. We will see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suresh.